The wind howled across the dead plains of Velcaris. Once this land was full of light, music, and tall crystal towers. Now it was only dust, broken stones, and bones buried in the sand. Princess Sailari moved slowly through the ruins of her old palaces. Her long silver hair was dirty. Her gown, once glowing with royal energy, was torn and stained. Her feet were bare. She looked nothing like a princess now. She looked like a ghost. She was the last of the Arvanari, a race of light-born beings who ruled this world for 10,000 years. They were graceful, wise, and peaceful. But they made one mistake. They trusted the Drexen swarm. The Drexen were a parasite species. They looked like giant insects, but they were smart and evil. They promised friendship, but when they were allowed into Arvanari lands, they attacked. They fed on light energy, drained the cities dry, and turned living beings into mindless husks. Sailari had watched her people fall. She had seen her father, the king, taken. Her mother burned in the final light storm. And now she was alone, weak. Dying, she sat on a broken throne, breathing slowly. Her body trembled. The Arvanari needed loom blood to survive, a glowing life force that flowed through their veins. But hers was fading. The Drexen had poisoned the world. The air, the water, even the light was tainted. "I will die here," she whispered alone. But fate had other plans. Far above the planet, a human recon ship flew low through the atmosphere. It belonged to the Terran Resistance Corps, A group of human soldiers fighting to stop the Drexen from spreading to Earth and other human colonies. Inside the ship was Corporal Dane Riker, at 22 years old. Young, strong, and always getting into trouble with his commanders. I had brown hair, sharp eyes, and a deep scar on his right cheek, earned in a past mission. He was on a solo scan mission, looking for Drexen nests. Beam of corrupted light from a Drexen spire. His ship spun, alarms screamed. He crashed into the surface near the ruined palace. Everything went black. Sailari heard the crash. At first, she didn't care. The Drexen crashed things all the time. But this one sounded different. She stood slowly, using the last of her strength to climb the stairs of the broken tower. She reached the top and looked out. Smoke rose in the distance. A ship, small, broken, not Drexen. Its metal was silver and green, not the usual black. She narrowed her glowing blue eyes. "That is not one of theirs," she whispered. Curiosity pulled her forward. The crash site was rough. Fire and smoke poured. From the sides, Sailari stayed low, careful not to be seen. She still remembered how to hide. The air was thick with heat and fuel. She saw a figure crawling from the wreck. A human heave fell to the ground, coughing, clutching his bleeding arm. His helmet was cracked, but she saw his face, young, pale from blood loss. Tried to stand, but his legs gave out. He was dying. Sailari felt torn. The Arvanari once looked down on humans. They thought them wild, emotional, and fragile. But right now, he was the first living being she had seen in many days. One who wasn't Drexen. She stepped closer, carefully, slowly. He heard her. "Stay back," shouted, raising a small blaster. His hand was shaking. "I'm armed." Ch tilted her head. "If I wished to kill you," she said softly, "I would not have walked into your fire." He blinked. "You're not Drexen." "No," she said. "I am Arvanari, or what remains of one." He lowered his weapon slightly. "I thought you were all gone." "You thought right," she said. "I am the last." She helped him sit under a piece of wreckage that gave some shade. He was still bleeding. She looked at his arm. "You are hurt," she said. "I've had worse," he muttered. "But thanks." "You should rest," she said. "No time for that. The Drexen will come. They always come after a crash." She nodded. "Let us move." They walked slowly back to the ruins. Limped and she stumbled, but they made it. Inside the broken palace, he sat down with a groan. She offered him water from a broken pipe that still flowed clean. He drank greedily. "What's your name?" he asked. "Sailari," she said. "Daughter of Queen Iscaria, heir to the throne of light, blinked. You're a princess? Was, she said. Now I am a memory. I'm Dane, he said. Corporal Dane Riker, Terran Corps. She looked at his face. Tired, brave, human. Something about him stirred a memory deep inside her. You should treat your wound, she said. He pulled off his glove. Blood dripped from a deep cut in his palm. Shh. She reached forward without thinking. Touching his skin, the moment her fingers touched his blood, her body jolted. Light sparked through her chest. Her eyes glowed brighter. Her knees gave out and she gasped. What's happening? He asked, pulling back. She looked at her hands. They glowed faintly now, a soft silver light. She hadn't seen her hands glow in days. Your blood, she whispered. It reacts. With me, that's weird, Dane said. I'm just a guy, nothing special. No, she said slowly. You are more than that. Your blood carries a rhythm, an echo of something old. Dane didn't understand, but he could see that her skin was no longer so pale. Her body sat straighter, her voice sounded stronger. You were dying before, he said, but now. Your blood awakened me, she said. That night they made a small fire with broken wood and tech scraps. They sat near each other, not close, but not far. Dane asked, Why did the Drexen destroy your people? They fear light, she said, and we were the light of this world. Why not fight back? We tried, but our energy was fading. We were peaceful for too long. They were too many. He nodded. I've seen them do it before. Other worlds too. Earth barely held them off. They were quiet for a moment. Then she asked, Why did you come here? Looking for something, he said. Anything to help us fight back? Maps, weapons, old tech? I didn't expect to find. You? She smiled faintly. Nor did I expect. To find you. Suddenly a sharp clicking sound echoed through the ruins. Drexen scouts. Dane stood, pulling his blaster. Get behind me. No, she said, standing tall beside him. I am not helpless anymore. 3 Drexen crawled into view, their bodies black and shining. Their eyes burned red. They hissed and charged. Dane fired. 1 dropped. The others moved fast. Solari raised her hands. Light burst from her palms. It was weak, flickering but enough to burn 1 Drexen where it stood. The last one leapt at Dane. He ducked and stabbed it with a broken metal rod. Silence followed. Both of them were breathing hard. But alive. You fought well, he said. You bled well, she replied. They laughed a little. Later, as the stars rose, Solari looked at Dane. You gave me more than blood, she said. You gave me time. He looked at her and smiled. Maybe together we can take some of that time back. Morning came with a strange silence. The sun of Velcaris was pale now, sick and weak like the planet itself. The light used to be golden and full of energy, but now it barely warmed the broken stones. Princess Sailari opened her eyes slowly. Had slept for the first time in days. Her body still ached, but she felt stronger than before. Not much, but enough to stand without falling beside her. Corporal Dane Riker was already awake, checking his damaged blaster and salvaging parts from his crashed ship. His arm was wrapped with cloth. His cut was deep, but he didn't complain. You slept like a rock, Dane said, not looking up. I feel different, Solari said. That's good, he replied. You almost looked dead yesterday. She smiled faintly. You gave me your blood. He shrugged. You needed it. Solari looked at her hands. Silver glow was still there, faint but steady. Her body was beginning to absorb the life energy from his blood. It was not just healing, it was changing her. I don't understand. She said. Your blood should not carry Arvinari light. Well, I'm full of surprises, Dane said with a grin. They sat together near the fire pit. Dane pulled out a dry ration pack and offered her some. She took it, sniffed it, then tasted carefully. It's not royal food, she said, making a face. But it is food. Dane laughed. Welcome to human survival meals. She studied him for a while. Why are you here? Truly. I told you. Recon mission. Search for Drex in hive nests. Try to find anything useful, maps, weapons, anything we could bring back to Earth. Earth, she repeated softly. I've never been there. It's messy, loud, dangerous, but it's home. Solari looked away. Valkyris used to be like that too, but now it's a graveyard. Dane was quiet. Then he stood and picked up a small scanner from the wreck. This thing still works, he said. Short range only. If we move east, we might find a signal tower. Or maybe shelter. Solari nodded. There's an old sanctum beyond the hills. It was a place of healing long ago. Maybe something still remains. Then let's go, Dane said, offering his hand. She hesitated and took it. They walked for hours through the ruined city. Cracked roads, fallen statues, giant claw marks along the walls. The Drexen had not just invaded, they had eaten the world. As they walked, Salari told him stories about her people. How the Arvenari used to sing light into the sky. How their cities floated. How they used no weapons, only harmony. Dane told her about humans. How Earth survived wars, pollution, even the first Drexen attack. How they fought back with steel, fire, and grit. You are a strange race, she said, so full of violence, but also full of heart. Yeah, he said, we're kind of a mess. They laughed. By afternoon, they reached the sanctum. It was buried under rock and vines. The front gate was cracked open. Inside, it smelled of dust and old power. It's still here, Solari whispered. Glowing crystals lined the walls, though dim now. In the center was a raised platform, a place for bloodbinding. What is that? Dane asked. It's an ancient Arvenari device, she said. When we were sick or broken, we would lie on it. The temple would read our blood, our energy, ... and heal us. Does it still work? Only one way to find out. Solari stepped onto the platform. It lit up just barely. A faint pulse responded to her presence. But then it flickered. It needs more light, she said sadly. More life. Dane stood still. He didn't speak for a moment. Then he asked, What if I gave you more blood? Her eyes widened. No, it would harm you. You gave too much already. I'm a soldier. I've been through worse. No, she said firmly. You are not a tool. You are you. Dane looked at her glowing hands. But if it brings you back, if it helps stop the Drexen, it's worth it. She hesitated. Then she nodded slowly. He lay down on the side panel. Celery touched his arm gently. Her fingers traced the vein. Her hands glowed brighter near his skin. I will only take what is needed, she promised. Just don't take my charm, he joked. She smiled, then closed her eyes. With a soft glow, her fingers lit up and touched his arm. A silver thread of energy moved from him to her, not like a needle knot, painful but deep, soul deep. Dane shivered. He saw flashes, images from her memory. A floating city. Her mother's smile. The Drexen invasion. Screams. And Salari saw his memories. 2. Earth's oceans. A family he missed. His first battle. His fear. His courage. When she pulled away, both were changed. Salari stood straight, her eyes glowing bright now. Her body pulsed with light energy. It worked, she said, shocked. Dane sat up, pale and sweating. Yeah, I can feel that. She helped him up. He looked at her face. It was beautiful, but now more human somehow. Her eyes still glowed, but there was warmth in them. Something's happening to you, he said. Yes, she said softly. Your blood is not just healing me, it is becoming part of me. I am no longer only Arvenari, waved an eyebrow. So you're like a hybrid, perhaps? Bridge between two worlds? Just smiled at him suddenly. The scanner beeped. Dane picked it up. Movement. West side. Drexen patrol. They both turned quickly. Through a crack in the wall, they saw them, black shapes, moving like shadows. For Drexen scouts, they found us, Dane said. No, Salari said. They found me. He aimed his blaster. Let's make sure they regret it. She stood beside him, together. The Drexen entered the sanctum, clicking and hissing. Their eyes glowed red in the dark. Dane fired first one down. Another leapt toward him. Salari moved with speed he hadn't seen before. Her hands glowed, and she sent a pulse of light that knocked Drexen back. Dane stabbed the last one with a broken pole from the platform. The room was silent again. They stood, breathing hard. Not bad, Dane said. You too, she replied. He looked at her hand. It was glowing steadily now. You're getting stronger. Yes, she said. Because of you. That night, they stayed in the sanctum. It felt safe. Sacred, they sat near a soft blue crystal, letting it warm them. You've changed, Dane said. You're smiling more. I forgot how, Salari said. But I'm remembering now. Dane leaned back. You know, back home, we have legends too, of alien princesses and warriors. She looked at him. What do they say? He shrugged. That the princess always needed saving? She smiled. Not this one. They laughed, then silence again. But it was a peaceful silence. Later, as he lay near the fire, she touched his arm again, just a gentle touch. I do not understand humans, she whispered, but I am beginning to care for one. He didn't answer. He was already asleep, but a small smile played on his lips. A cold wind blew across the ruins of the sanctum. The air smelled like old dust and broken time. But inside, the place felt alive again. The blue crystals glowed softly. The silence was warm, not dead. Princess Salari stood in the center of the hall, her long silver hair floating behind her. The light in her body was brighter now. She no longer stumbled. Her hands no longer shook. She was healing. Across the room, Corporal Dane Riker sat on a rock eating another bland Terran ration. He still looked pale. His blood loss was catching up to him, but he hid it well. His eyes followed Salari quietly. You're stronger. Now, he said. She turned toward him. Yes, but not complete. Dane raised an eyebrow. What's missing? My power is returning, she said, but it is unbalanced. Part Arvanari, part human. If I want to survive this change, I must pass the blood trial. Dane stopped chewing. Sounds dramatic. What is it? It is an ancient ritual. She explained. Test the bond between two souls, one who gives and one who receives. If the bond is pure, it strengthens both. If not, the energy breaks apart. Dane stood up. So you want to do it now? I must, she said. If I don't balance the energy inside me, it will consume me. He looked at her carefully. And what happens to me during this trial? You will see what I see, feel what I feel. Our memories will merge for a short time. He crossed his arms. So basically, you get full access to my brain? The parts your blood has touched, she said with a smirk. He sighed. All right, let's do it. They stood on the central platform again. The glowing circle pulsed gently. Salari placed her palm on a crystal panel. Dane stood across from her, copying her. I don't usually trust people with sharp glowing machines. He said, You trusted me with your blood, she said. This is nothing. Their palms lit up. The chamber, Suddenly, everything went white. Dane opened his eyes, but he wasn't in the sanctum anymore. He was floating. Around him were stars, colors, sounds he didn't understand. Shapes moved in the distance, memories, pieces of thought, old feelings. Salari appeared beside him, glowing like a goddess. Where are we? He asked. In the bridge between our minds, she said. This is the blood space. He saw images. Flashed by a young Salari dancing in a garden of light, her coronation day, her first lesson in healing. Then the sky turned dark. Drexen ships falling from the clouds, screams, fire. He saw her holding her mother's hand, tears in her eyes. Then the darkness took her world. He turned away. But now she saw his memories. Earth, the chaos of cities. His younger sister laughing. In the rain, his first day in training. The war, the loss. She saw him crying in a broken room after losing a squad mate. She saw his loneliness. I didn't know, she whispered. No one does, Dane said. We just keep going. The light grew stronger. Their hands touched again, and then everything exploded into brightness. They gasped awake back in the sanctum. Dane fell to one knee. Solari rushed to steady him. You saw it? He asked. Yes, she said. He looked at her. And you're still here? She nodded. Your heart is strong. Stronger than most kings I knew. He tried to smile, so ... did we pass. Solari looked at her hands. The light was no longer wild. It flowed calmly. Her body no longer flickered. Her voice was clear. Yes, she said. We passed. That night, the stars over Valkyris looked brighter. Solari and Dane sat together outside the sanctum, watching. The sky, you've changed, he said. I feel alive again, she replied. But not just because of your blood. Because of your will. You're not the only one changing, Dane said. He lifted his sleeve. A faint mark glowed on his forearm, an Arvanari, symbol of unity. Solari touched it, surprised. You carry the bond now. Part of my energy lives in you. Great, he said. Now I'm half space princess. She smiled. Only in spirit. The moment was broken by a sudden noise, a deep roar from the east. Dane jumped to his feet. What was that? Solari's face went pale. The Drexen Queen? She has awakened? Dane's scanner beeped wildly. He checked the screen. Massive life signs. Swarm movement. Thousands of them. She knows I live, Solari said. And she knows I am no longer weak. We need to move, Solari said. We need to find the last Arvanari weapon. Dane blinked. There's a weapon. Yes, she said. Buried beneath the Temple of Firelight, far to the north. It was sealed long ago. Leave someone with the blood of kings can open it. He looked at his arm. You mean? She nodded. Now you can. They packed what little gear they had. Dane carried a pulse rifle from his wreckage. Solari wore a long cloak of crystal thread she found in the sanctum as they walked under the stars. Dane asked, You really think one weapon can stop her? It's not just a weapon, Solari said. It is a fusion core living crystal. Of pure light, it can burn the Drexen from this world. But it needs someone to bond with it. Yes, she said. And now you are part Arvanari. You are the key. He shook his head. You sure you trust me with that much power? She looked at him with calm eyes. I trust your soul. They traveled for 2 days through shattered cities and twisted forests. Along the way, they fought off several Drexen scouts. But now, Solari's light beams and Dane's blaster worked in harmony. They made a good team. One night, they took shelter in an old stone tower. Dane lit a fire. Solari sat beside him, her eyes reflecting the flames. He looked at her and said, You're not alone anymore. She nodded. And neither are you. There was a long pause. Then she whispered, I was ready to die, Dane. But now, I want to live. He looked at her face, strong, beautiful, full of light. So live, he said softly, and I'll be right here. In the early morning, they saw the Temple of Firelight in the distance. It stood high in the mountains, untouched by time. Its walls still glowed. A barrier of energy shimmered at the entrance. Dane stepped forward. The barrier buzzed. Then it parted. He turned to Solari. She smiled. You carry the right blood now. Inside, the temple was bright and warm. Crystals hummed along the walls. A great chamber lay at the center. And on a pedestal floated the light Korra, spinning ball of golden energy. It's beautiful, Dane said. It's dangerous, Solari warned. Touch it, and it will bond with your soul. If this is the only way to stop the queen, then let's do it. He reached out. The light core pulsed. Then it flew into his chest. He gasped. Light wrapped around him. He fell to his knees, screaming, but not in pain and power. When it ended, Dane stood up slowly. His eyes glowed. The Arvanari mark on his arm burned bright. His voice echoed. I feel it. The light, it's in me. Solari bowed her head. Then the queen should fear you now. The sky above Valkyris turned dark. Storm clouds rolled over the mountains, filled with Drexen energy. The swarm was awakened angry. From the top of the temple, a firelight. Princess Salari and Corporal Dane Riker looked across the valley. Black shapes moved below, thousands of Drexen crawling toward them. The war was coming, but this time they were ready. Dane's body glowed with golden light. The light core inside his chest was steady now. His eyes sparkled like twin stars. His voice carried strength. Salari stood beside him, her hands glowing soft silver. Her Arvanari energy was fully restored, but it had changed. Now, part of it came from him. "You've become something new," Salari said softly. "Not just human, not just light." Dane nodded. "And you're not just a princess anymore." They smiled. There was no time for fear. They left the temple and traveled to the Sky Cradle, an ancient space elevator hidden in a desert canyon. The wind howled through broken walls, but the machine still worked barely. "Are you sure this will take us off-world?" Dane asked, staring at the elevator's glowing platform. Salari nodded. "It connects to an old Arvanari space station. If any survivors still live, they will be there." Dane sighed. "All right, let's go knock on their door." They stepped onto the platform. A beam of light shot upward, carrying them into the sky. Above the planet, the Arvanari Sanctuary Station floated quietly in orbit. Inside, a few dozen survivors remained Arvanari. Humans, and even other alien species who escaped. The Drexen attacks. They were tired, broken, and divided. Most had lost hope. Then the elevator doors opened. Salari stepped into the hall, glowing with royal energy.
Ow.
Dane followed, marked by light, fire, and strength. People gasped. Some dropped to their knees. Others whispered, "The princess lives." One old warrior stepped forward. He had scars across his face and wore a torn royal crest. "Is it truly you?" he asked. "Yes," Salari said, "and I did not return alone." She held out her hand. Dane stepped forward. "This is Dane Riker, a human soldier. He gave me his blood, his courage, his life. Because of him I live, and because of him we can fight again." Some Arvanari looked unsure. A few humans looked shocked. An old healer spoke. "You are bonded to him?" "Yes," Salari said. "Through light and memory," Dane added. "We don't have time for old doubts. The Drexen Queen is awake. She's building something big near the planet's core. If we wait, we'll lose everything." The room fell silent. Then the warrior bowed. "Then we will follow you, princess." For the next 3 days, the sanctuary came alive again. The humans and Arvanari trained together. Ships were repaired. Weapons were recharged. Dane led small teams in strategy planning. He used human tactics, surprising, bold. Salari helped by sharing ancient Arvanari knowledge about energy weapons, shield walls, and battle songs that could bend light. Together they prepared a final assault on the Drexen hive, buried in the deepest part of Velcaris, but there was one more step. In a quiet chamber, Salari led Dane to the Hall of Echoes. Inside were ancient weapon staffs, blades, and armor built by her ancestors. "The Drexen Queen will not fall easily," she said. "You need more than light. You need a weapon that matches your soul." She picked up a long staff made of shining crystal. This was forged by the first king. It responds only to blood that carries the royal flame. Dane held out his hand. The staff glowed instantly. "It has chosen you," she whispered. "It's beautiful," Dane said. "But I still prefer my rifle." She laughed. "Use both then." The night before the battle, Salari stood alone near the station's viewing window. Stars sparkled outside. Her reflection shimmered in the glass. Dane approached quietly. "Can't sleep? I don't need sleep anymore," she said. "Not like before." He stood beside her. "Tomorrow, we fight. Any regrets?" She turned to him. "Yes. That I didn't meet you sooner." He smiled. "We make a good team." She stepped closer. Her hand brushed his. "I feel your strength." "In me," she said, "but also your pain, your loneliness." "I'm not lonely now," he said quietly. Neither of them spoke for a moment. Then Sailori leaned forward and rested her forehead against his. Their energy shimmered together. "No matter what happens tomorrow," she whispered, "I am glad I found you." "So am I," he replied. The next morning, war began. Dozens of small ships launched from the station. Inside, humans and Arvanari sat side by side, ready. Dane led the first wave. His armor shone like fire. His eyes burned with purpose. Sailori flew beside him, using a silver wing glider powered by pure light. She was a queen of stars now, no longer lost. Below the Drexen, hives spread across the land like a black forest of crawling creatures. Spires reached toward the sky, and deep at its heart was the Drexen queen, larger than any other, surrounded by a swarm of guards. The final battle began. Dane's team landed first. They blasted through the outer guards with pulse rifles and crystal lances. The Drexen fought back with claws and dark energy, but the bond between human and Arvanari held strong. Dane used his staff to create shields of light, protecting his allies. Sailori struck from above, sending beams of pure fire into the swarm. The battle raged for hours. More fighters joined. Explosions shook the ground. Screams and roars filled the air. But then the Drexen queen appeared. She was massive, 20 feet tall, with wings of black glass and a voice like thunder. "You dare bring light to my hive," she hissed. Dane stepped forward, his staff glowing. "I'm not just light," he said. "I'm human." And he charged. The queen fought like a storm. She struck Dane with a blast of dark force. He flew back, crashing into stone. Blood dripped from his mouth. Sailori rushed to him, but the queen blocked her. "You think you've won, little princess?" the queen sneered. "You took human blood, but you forgot what humans always do. They die." Sailori's eyes burned. With rage, "No," she said. "They fight." She blasted the queen with light, but it wasn't enough. The queen grabbed her, draining her energy. Dane rose slowly. His staff cracked, his vision blurred. Then he heard Sailori's voice inside his mind. "Take it, Dane, my energy. One last time." "No," he whispered. "It'll kill you, and if you die, we all die." Dane placed his hand over her heart. Their bond flared. Silver and gold light wrapped around them. The light core inside Dane exploded with power. Arvanari energy flowed into him, pure, beautiful, painful. His body lit up like a sun. The queen screamed, "What are you?" Dane raised his hand. "I'm the future." And he struck. A wave of light exploded from his body. The Drexen queen turned to ash. The hive burned from the inside out. Across the planet, Drexen screamed and fell. The black cloud broke apart. The war was over. Dane collapsed. His body was smoking. His breath was weak. Sailori fell beside him, tears in her glowing eyes. "Stay with me," she said. "I don't think I can." She held his hand. "You must." He smiled faintly. "You're glowing." Then his eyes closed. Dane Riker's body was still. His skin had burned in glowing patterns. Golden veins of light stretched across his arms and chest. His breath had stopped. His heart was silent. Princess Sailori held him tightly in the ruins of the Drexen hive. Around them, the last of the swarm crumbled into dust. The ground was shaking. The hive was collapsing. "No," she whispered, "not like this." She closed her eyes and pressed her forehead to his. Her silver tears fell on his cheek. "You gave me your blood, your strength, your life. I won't let it end here." She opened her mind. She poured the last of her Arvanari energy into him. Nothing happened. The light flickered, then faded. Screamed a deep broken sound that shook the air from the sky above. Dropships arrived. Arvanari and human soldiers rushed down to the ground. They were cheering, smiling, crying. The queen was dead. The war was over. But when they saw Sailori kneeling beside Dane's body, the joy died in their throats. "He saved us all," one soldier whispered. "He was the strongest human I ever knew," said another. An Arvanari healer approached slowly. "Princess, we must leave. The hive is unstable. You will die if you stay." Sailori didn't move. She simply held Dane's hand. Then, a tiny flicker of gold sparked in his palm. The healer gasped. Wait. Look. The spark grew. Dane's chest moved just a little. Solari's eyes snapped. Open, Dane. A soft voice came from his lips. Did we win? She laughed through her tears. Yes, you did. He opened his eyes slowly. You're still glowing. You're still alive. He smiled weakly. Guess I'm hard too. Keel. She held his hand tightly. You are more than that. We're the first of a new kind, a bridge between our worlds. They carried him back to the sanctuary station. The light core in his chest had changed. It no longer needed external energy, it made its own. His human body had fully accepted the Arvanari flame. He was no longer just Dane Riker. He was something more. They named him the first human Arvanari. Weeks passed. The war-torn planet of Velcaris began to heal. The Drexen hives were destroyed. The skies cleared. Plants returned. Cities were rebuilt by humans, Arvanari, and other species who had joined the fight. A great meeting was called at the new council hall, built where the hive once stood. Stood on the stage, wearing a royal robe woven from starlight. Her eyes were calm, her voice strong. We were nearly destroyed, she said. Not by the Drexen alone, but by our fear, our division, and our pride. She turned to look at Dane, who stood beside her in light-forged armor. This human saved me. He showed me what strength truly is, not just in the body, but in the heart. People from across the galaxy stood and clapped. Dane stepped forward. He scratched his neck and looked awkward. I didn't really do anything special. Just tried to protect the girl who saved me first. Laughter spread through the crowd. Then he added, but if we want to keep this peace, we need to fight for it. Every day. Together. No more. Lines between human and Arvanari. No more us and them. Just one people. The applause shook the building. In the days that followed, something new was born. A new order called the Keepers of the Flame was formed. They were made of both humans and Arvanari, trained to use light honor, unity to protect peace across the galaxy. Dane was named their first commander. Salari ruled as queen, but no longer from a throne. She traveled with her people, listened to their stories, helped rebuild villages, healed those hurt by the war. She and Dane stayed close. They shared a bond that no one could break. One quiet evening, they stood on the cliffside of a rebuilt Arvanari city. The stars stretched across the sky like a painting. Dane sat on a rock watching the sunset. Salari stood beside him, her long silver cloak moving with the wind. Do you miss Earth, Ila? She asked softly. He nodded. Sometimes I miss the ocean. Real coffee. My old dog, she smiled. You never told me you had a dog? He barked at everything, even clouds. She laughed. What was his name? Ghost? Dane said. Because he kept disappearing when I called him. They both smiled. Then she looked at him. Do you ever regret giving me your blood? He looked at her seriously. Never. It gave me more than I lost. She stepped closer. Then let me give something to you now. She took his hand and placed a small glowing crystal in it. What is this? He asked. A bond stone, she said. In Arvanari tradition, it means life shared, paths joined. Dane looked at the crystal, then at her. You're serious? Am, she said. You saved me when I was lost. You gave me a reason to fight again. If I can build a future, I want you in it. He held her hand gently. You know, he said, for a princess. You're kind of pushy. She smiled. And, for a soldier, you're kind of soft. They laughed, and then they kissed under the stars. Years passed, the legend of the human, who gave his blood to a lost princess, spread across the stars. Children of both species grew up hearing the story, not just as a tale of war. In hope, a statue was built in the center of the new Alliance capital. Dane holding his staff of light. Salari beside him, her hand on his heart. Beneath the statue were words written in both Arvanari and human language from different stars. They became one light. And in the silence of space, deep beyond the edge of the known systems, a beacon blinked. A new danger waited. But wherever it would rise, there would always be those ready to fight. Because now, The galaxy had a flame that would never die, and its name was human.